Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 29, December 13th, 2011. It's Couples Month with Dan and Kristin. Hello, everybody. Once again, it's Ham Nation, and we're getting close to Christmas, so I thought I would don my proper hat. And I am just getting back from Ohio, where I had a fabulous weekend. And one of the things I did was I visited the Southwest Ohio DX Club. And some of the members there you have seen before on Ham Nation, Mitchell, and some of the kids that were very, very pleased to be able to go to Costa Rica. They were there. And they all have a word for all of us. So let's bring in the little piece of video from the Southwest Ohio DX Club.
Ham Nation is on the air.
Oh, that's great.
Merry Christmas, Leo. Can you imagine going into the on Facebook and
That was great, Bob.
I thought you would like that, Gordo, that hat. That looked like something that you should have. And
That's
of course,
what they say, yeah.
Yeah, well, your hat's pretty good tonight. Look at that. And it's blinking.
All right, well, thanks, Bob. Now, Bob, you visited like 3 different places on your trip last week. Is that right?
I did. We did a lot of things, and I do this every year where we go up and visit Fred and Barbara at Universal Radio, and then I spend a little time with the Dara Bunch at the Dara Christmas party. And this year I plugged in the Southwest Ohio Christmas party. So that was all fun and good. And then on Saturday, we're at R&L, where we had about 100 people or more in the workshop. And it was really great because they have all of the manufacturers, as you know, they were all there. The Dennis from Yesu, who aren't we so pleased and blessed that he's still with us. He beat that cancer. Can you believe that, Gordo?
Wow, he's a tough fighter. Even though they broke his computer on the airplane, he still made it through.
He did. That was really sad. But he and I got through it, and we did the workshop without the computer. We're hams. We can make that happen. But
yeah.
Great. It was great. And we'll get to some of that video in just a little bit. This is Couples Month here on Ham Nation. We're going to take you into another fabulous station in a little bit with Dan and Kristin in California that Gordo and the group videotaped, and it was really great. We'll do that in a while. But I have a very special guest that we want to bring in, and she's going to be here quite a bit because we want to bring in some other aspects of amateur radio. And here's another great couple from Northern Illinois. Cheryl is one of our bunch on 75 meters, and she does a lot of things. Cheryl, are you there? K9BIK, where'd you go?
I sure am here. As I just want to say happy holidays to everybody and Merry Christmas, of course. It's just wonderful to be here. I am enormously grateful to join you guys. So, yes, I am part of the 75-meter clan, anyhow. I do a little bit on that station on a regular basis. So there's a couple frequencies in particular. I over the summertime, I did like getting on AM radio and listening to what that was all about on 3885. And it's just a lot of fun. People just go back and forth. It's not really a round table. It's kind of informal, and you get to know everybody. It's kind of fun. And my call sign is K9BIK. I've been an amateur radio operator licensed in the year 2002 and got my technician class which was the light version. I did not have to take the code, so I call it Technician Light. And then I went into my general class license in 2007, so I could get on the HF. That's really what I wanted so badly. So the radio that I use is a FTDX 5000 MP, and of course a Heil microphone. But I only use 200 watts. I don't have an amplifier, but that's pretty much it, and I really enjoy it. My call sign is K9BIK.
Well, it's always nice to hear you. And Gordo, she doesn't need an amplifier. You realize that, right?
No, I don't think so. A voice like that. Well, this is terrific. Well, Cheryl, welcome aboard Ham Nation, and we're going to have a lot of great times on the air this coming year, and you'll be there with us, so welcome aboard.
Thanks very much. Glad to be here.
You also do something for Newsline now also. You're doing some things with that, right?
Yes, I get to do some news reads for Bill Pasternak for Amateur Radio Newsline, and I'm going to probably be doing my number 4 entry this week. It's a lot of fun, and I like doing that very much. I have a little bit of voiceover background, just a teensy little bit, not that much, but I really enjoy it, and I love working with Bill. He's extremely smart, and he's really helped me along quite a bit.
That's great. Well, that all came about when they came on a few weeks ago, and Robert Sudak was throwing the fishing line out there, and he was looking for female correspondents, and look who he found, Gordo. That was pretty cool, right? Right here on Ham Nation.
Well, that's great. Well, Cheryl, welcome aboard, and we're just delighted to have you with us.
And likewise, I'm delighted to be with you guys. So,
Cheryl's going to be watching the chat room a little bit for us while we're doing some of our other things here, so we can try to answer a few more things that's happening on the chat room. It's hard to keep it all going, but now we have another person that can help us, and we'll get her back in here in just a little bit to do that. Before we get on to your videos, Gordo, I have a video that was made specifically for you at Universal Radio. So if Alex can bring that up, let's play this cat video. This is, as you're going to see, specifically for you from Barbara.
That does pack tour.
Yeah.
Does he do any tower work?
I don't think so, no.
I know he'll climb, but
I'm not sure.
he won't do it on a regular basis.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, my mom. I've got a.
You can hear Fred in the background. He was selling radios. He didn't have time to get on the camera for you. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Barbara said she had to do that for you. What they have? I think they have 17 cats. Is that right? Something like that.
They certainly have a bunch. And, you know, Universal Radio is such a special place because they sell a lot of shortwave receivers to folks that get started in listening. And that's where we get a lot of ham radio operators. They said, I bought a shortwave receiver from Universal, and then I finally had to get my transmitter and license. So good for Universal.
Yeah, well, we'll finish up those videos. There's one with Fred. Now, this was kind of cool. Several guys came to the store. They heard us talking last week that I would be there, and they came and they were buying things from Fred. I thought that was kind of neat. And one of them, he and his wife have been watching Ham Nation from the beginning, and he was just so enthused, and he was buying some things. So let's see if we can get that video from Fred, and this is really cool.
My name is Fred Osterman, N-A-E-K-U. I'm the owner of Universal Radio here in Central Ohio.
And my name is Dave Terborg. I'm a customer today looking for a nice Heil microphone for my ICOM 7410. And I'm from Frazeysburg, Ohio. And my call is Kilo Alpha 8, Germany. Nice to meet y'all.
And you watch Ham Nation.
And I watch every single episode of my Ham Nation, and my wife too, N9EBQ.
All right. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
We have so much fun when we go out, and it's amazing how many people are watching the show and getting a lot from it. And, of course, that's what we're here about. It's your show. All of us have the fun of putting it together. but we're able to bring a lot of things your way. And next year we have a whole lineup of things that we're going to do, and you'll be learning more and more about it. We're going to get more in depth here the first of the year. After we get CES and some of the shows over there, we're going to get into the technical things, not too deep because we want to take it slow, but we're hearing the same speech from everybody, Gordon. I think you heard it in Atlanta, where they need what we call Elmering. They need somebody to walk them through the easy paces of getting into ham radio. Okay, I got my license and I went and bought this radio. Now what do I do? And we hear it all the time, so we're going to try to help them along. And we've got a good team to do that, and a lot of other guys that we're going to bring on that will be of help to us also. So if you have any suggestions of presentations and stuff, bring it on. We want to hear about that. Gordo, this wasn't a beginning station by any means, but you had the pleasure of going and visiting a great couple in Southern California. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Dan and Kristin, and let's see what's going on there.
All right. Well, Dan and Kristin are a fabulous couple because they really make ham radio happen. They work with the local clubs. They work with the local Council of Amateur Radio Organizations. So Julian and Hannah and Susie and I had the pleasure of seeing the Dan and Kristin's residence. And wait till you see all the radios he have. So I'm going to go ahead and let Alex go ahead and roll the video. Dan and Kristin Dankert and their shack. Ham Nation, and we're with Dan and Kristin. Hi, Dan. Call sign?
N6PEQ.
Wow, I like that voice. Kristin.
K6PEQ.
I like that voice as well. And we're here at the Dan and Kristin Super Shack, as I call it. A little bit of everything. And Dan and Kristin, when did you two first meet? How did you get started in ham radio together?
Well, I guess we met about 11 years ago on internet chat room of all things.
Really? On the internet?
Yes.
Love at first sight?
Yeah, pretty much. We were engaged 3 months after we met, so I would say yes.
Oh, that is great. Now, Dan, you were like a shortwave listener before you got started in ham radio?
Yes, I was, ever since I was 3 years old.
Wow. And what turned you on to ham radio?
My grandfather was a ham. He passed away about 8 years ago, but he was first licensed in 1932. And my father was also a ham, and actually still is, but not too active. So I was always surrounded by ham radio since I was young.
Oh, that is great. Now, Kristin, did Daniel turn you into ham radio, or did you just want to become a ham on your own?
No.
Which means you were forced into getting your ham like
No. It wasn't anything like that. He actually took me to TRW on one of our first dates to introduce me to the hobby, but had to get the license in order to go to Cuba. So.
Now tell us about the Cuba trip.
That was the most amazing trip I've ever been on, and I would go back in a heartbeat if I could.
Wow, and you operated ham radio there for what, 2 days?
Yes, for field day.
For field day.
Oh, wow.
2003.
No kidding. So you were a brand new ham in Cuba, huh?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds great. Now, Dan, tell us a little bit about both of you and all the different clubs and organizations that you've been with to earn all of these great certificates I see on the wall as a husband and wife.
Well, we've both been active in the Orange County Amateur Radio Club, W6ZE. We both held positions on the board there. Kristin's been president twice with the club and vice president, and I've done a few I've been activities director and membership once, and a few other positions. We've also are members of the Southern California DX Club, and we participate in the Visalia International DX Convention. We've been on the committee a few times in the past, helping with prizes and vendors.
Wow. Now, Kristin, the Visalia is quite a get-together, and everybody dresses up. Is that right?
I would not say everyone dresses up, only the crazy people, which would include us. So every year it's a different costume and a different outfit, and everyone looks forward to seeing how crazy we will be that year. So.
Wow. Well, that's DX at its best. And looking around the room here, Daniel, how about taking us for a tour of what it takes to work DX on this side of the room? And then, Kristin, will let you tell us about some of the shortwave listening and some of the DX that you have on this side of the room.
Okay, we have several different stations here in the shack. This is the main HF station featuring an ICOM IC7800 transceiver,
I want one.
which drives an Alpha 87A amplifier, fully automatic HF amplifier. We can select between any of the antennas out on the tower to the 7800 with this remote antenna switch. Each antenna has its own independent switch at the base of the tower, and it's selectable here.
Now, how many antennas do you have up there?
Too many. I don't know. There's probably a dozen.
I would second that.
We have bandpass filters for each of the main HF bands, and each antenna is selectable between whether it's at this station or the other station here in the shack.
My station.
Her station,
That's right.
His and her stations. We have logging equipment for contesting as well as day-to-day operations, gray line propagation indicators on the geochron as well as on the logging software, and lots of DX spotting for looking for DX stations. We usually have several different sites up as well as a telnet site. Depending on what site we're on, we get different types of spots. And we also have a Kenwood station monitor here to watch our transmitted audio. And the ICOM 7800 has a very nice pan display, allows us to see the band as well as hear the band, and makes working a split operation DX very, very easy.
Now, it looks like you've got one of the original Kenwood clocks. Is that right?
We sure do.
You want to sell that, buddy?
No, I don't. Kenwood HC10. We have a few of them here in the shack. It's the best ham radio clock ever made. I just wish they still made them.
Wow, Dan, this is really a contest station over here. And Kristin, we're soon to see what you got over here. But Daniel, how many contests a year do folks come into the shack and begin operating simultaneously?
Boy, nowadays it hasn't been too often, maybe once a year or something. And in past years, it's been heavily populated.
All right. And do you have a favorite contest?
November sweepstakes phone and the 10-meter contest and IRU radio sport. Those are our favorites.
Oh, yeah, 10 meters really been hot. Now, Kristin, what's it like when all these guys and girls pour into the shack and squeeze into the room here? It's all nice and air-conditioned. Do you have to, entertain them, or do they just put on their headphones and do their thing?
I would say they're pretty much entertain themselves. They're swarming to the radios. I usually provide food. That is my job.
Well, food is important. Do they all wear headphones so no one is turning up the volume too loud?
It depends on the station. If they only have one going, then it'll be loud and everyone can hear. If there's two stations going simultaneously, then you'll have headsets. Or if I don't want to hear it, then he'll wear a headset.
All right. And now, I understand you have a new antenna system. I remember the old one. What did you do, put it up in the middle of the night so the neighbors wouldn't see it the next morning?
It was very discreet. No.
Very discreet. There you go. And how tall is that antenna tower? What do you think?
Isn't it 50?
About 50 foot.
Wow, that's just right for great DX. Well, let's take a look at some more of the gear.
Okay, this is the second station in the shack. Also has a ICOM IC7800.
Want one.
Like we were saying, we have his and hers 7800s here also. And we have a Alpha 9500 amplifier here that
I bought for you.
Yeah, Kristin gave me as a present a few years back, which was very nice. And also fully automatic amplifier. Alpha 77SX amplifier as well. Also have another Kenwood station monitor. And we also have a Alpha 6-meter amplifier as well, one of the original Alpha 6s.
Like 5 of them?
Yeah, only 5 of them made, and they only made them for a short time, but now they have a new version out, but this is one of the originals. And we also have the same type of antenna switching and bandpass filters like we do on the Station A, and we can also select any of the antennas from Station B to our test bench, to a patio station if we set up a radio on the patio, as well as to other radios here in the shack.
All right, now we're at the Kristin corner. And this is where Kristin does a lot of monitoring of the different nets. What have we got over here, Kristin, beside another one of those Kenwood clocks that I want?
Yeah, we know you're jealous, I can tell.
I am.
This is more of the 2 meters where you can get onto the club nets. W6ZE's nets are on Wednesdays, so a lot of times if I actually get home from work on time, I can hop onto one of those and get caught up on what's going on in the club. Moving on, we've got the big bad boy that is great for weather and costs a fortune. But it was his toy that he always wanted, and, well, let's just say I got a great diamond bracelet to go along with it.
Oh,
so.
Good deal, good deal.
It's great, and then we, of course, have more monitors to cover everything that you could ever want to see and pull up. And
looks like you got some spare radios just ready for any eventuality, huh, Chris?
You never know if you need to take one in the car, or if there is an emergency, or if someone needs to borrow something to check their radio or check their antenna. So we're pretty much ready. If anyone needs anything, we're here.
Kristin has the network over here on her side of the operating room.
Well, I am the more social one, so there you go.
Yes.
I would say I've noticed in the last few years, a lot more couples getting involved in radio through Visalia, through the DX Club. I know we've seen them including more wives in their events, having wives prizes, just trying to get the wives more involved so that it's not just a man-oriented hobby. I mean, there are a lot of things that women would enjoy out of it. We all love to talk. So I think that it's good to see a lot more couples getting involved in all the different aspects of the hobby.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the YLs have gotten licensed, and it's been very nice to see. And we've seen that happen at the Southern California DX Club and at Visalia. And Kristin's made a big effort in the Orange County Amateur Radio Club when we have get-togethers to make sure people bring their spouses. And every time we have more and more spouses show up, and they have so much fun, and they end up showing up to other events and sometimes getting their licenses.
Dan and Kristin, that was too much. So we're going to let you on camera with Julian and Hannah minding the behind the scenes. Go ahead and give us your best kiss for Ham Nation. Go ahead. You're on camera. Let her roll.
We can't do the best one.
Thank you both for making this a great Ham Nation. Now, Daniel, I see the 6-meter amplifier, and there's only, how many made of them?
5 of them.
5 of them. Back in the old days of analog TV, did you disrupt a few TVs on 6 meters with a conservative 1,500 watts of power?
No, never.
Is that...
Of course not.
You've never interfered with a television?
No.
Not even your own TVs didn't jump out of the socket when Dan comes up on 6.
That's why you have total rights.
What's interference? I don't know. I don't understand.
Right. So no TV interference here. Yeah. That was great. You never know.
What a wonderful thing. What a great couple. And they're the tops, let me tell you. Always enjoy being around them. But I thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I know it took a little bit to put that all together. And then for Julian to edit it and Hannah get it all together, that was great. And we'll have to do some more visiting of stations there, Gordo. But they're the cream of the crop, and that station certainly is excellent.
Oh, that is great. Well, thanks, Bob, for allowing us to have him on there. And Bob, incoming tonight is the Geminids meteor shower. And I want everybody to go out there and catch a falling star, at least see the meteors. And we're going to have a question about the Geminids meteor shower as soon as I get my antlers rolling here. So remember, tonight's the night, everybody. Chat room, talk it up, meteor shower tonight. Susie, my wife, will make me go outside and watch at least 10 or 15 meteors. Right, Suze? Okay. So meteor showers, everyone.
I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be tuning down about 144.2 and working some meteors scatter and meteor showers. I know how that goes. So let's all get on there and see what happens. Yeah. Man, that's great. I do have to say one thing. I know the chat room has mentioned it a couple times. We're going to bring Cheryl back in a minute because I bet she's got some of this. But don't be feared that you have to have a station like that to enjoy ham radio. We've shown you throughout the entire number of shows here on Ham Nation a lot of fellows that only have like a 706 or an 857, and they have just as much fun. And George is going to do a segment coming up here in a few shows. He's been working with a couple of entry-level ICOM transceivers, and you can have a lot of fun, and you don't have to have all of the big amplifiers and all that. What it takes is a radio and a good antenna, and, of course, I always say the right microphone to make that understood. So other than that, what can I tell you? Talking about being on the air, Gordo, did you work the 10-meter contest this weekend? Were you on?
Wow. That contest was hot. At first here on the West Coast, we heard all of Europe pouring in. Then midday, we heard all of South America pouring in. And then it went over the North Pole back to Europe at mid-afternoon. And then Japan and all of Asia poured in the evening up to about 9 o'clock at night. So technician class operators on a simple antenna, 28.3 to 28.5. There's plenty of activity on 10. It was hot, Bob.
Big time, and your little 857 or 817, any of those little radios work great on 10 meters and little dipole and away you go. Let me see if we can hear some of this. I captured a little bit of this over the weekend. I did get on.
Barely touched. It moves like 30 seconds of a revolution.
We had pileups all over the place.
India, 10-meter contest. CQ10 meter contest. Anyone, anywhere. Whiskey 6 Yankee, Italy.
He was pounding.
Kilo 6 Echo Zulu.
He was pounding in here.
CQ contest, Kilo 6 Echo Zulu.
And then I heard this guy. Check this.
CQ contest, November 6, Hotel California. November 6, Hot Chocolates contest.
It's Artie.
Alpha Kilo 4, Quebec, 59 California. Kilo 9, Echo India Delta. How are you doing, Bob? Nice to hear you.
I made the pileup, Gordo.
And 6HC from K9EID.
Okay, very good, Bob. Great to hear you, and please say hi to the family back there for me as well. Norway 6 Hotel Charlie.
good friend, and boy, what a de-expeditioner that guy is. He keeps his suitcase packed all the time, I think, and anytime anybody's got a ship going somewhere, he's on it. So I know you've heard Arnie a lot. So that's some of the activity. Hey, Cheryl, what's going on in Northern Illinois on the chat room? You got anything happening? What can you tell us?
I got a couple of things for you, but I wanted to comment on. You don't really need a lot of equipment, like you said. We have a brand new ham at the Lake County Racy's Aries group who's using a Mohawk of all things, and he is getting on, and he's so. You really don't need to have the latest and greatest. All equipment is welcome in ham radio, right, guys? So I do have a question from the chat room that was directed to Gordo, and they said, is your main rig an IC 9100? Is that your main HF rig that you use normally, Gordo?
The ICOM 9100 I'm using for VHF and UHF. It's a great HF rig as well. But my main rig is the old Kenwood 950 SDX with a pan adapter that lets me look at the band. It's an oldie but a goodie, but it's got a tight receiver. And next January, we're going to be talking about how to adjust passband tuning and many of the features found in some of these modern radios. But the old 950 ain't modern, but it's a great workhorse.
Yes, it is. And didn't that have the dual receive in it as well?
It certainly does, and it's not as hot as this new ICOM, the 9100 that you see over my left shoulder. In fact, we're going to be on it tonight, and we hope to work everybody either on 20, 40, or 75 meters.
Oh, good. Excellent. And I'd like to move on to the next question. Whoever wants to take it is from the chat room, of course. They asked what we thought of the MFJ 94XX or any of the series of the 9400 series for 20 meters.
Well, I've operated some of those little MFJ QRP transceivers, and I think they're fine. They're certainly a great way to go to get on the air. And I use it mainly for monitoring in our classes. And I have the whole series, one for each band, and they just keep cranking along, and kids are just amazed as to how small that MFJ product is with a great receiver.
Mm-hmm. They had a group of those this weekend. I saw some stuff at RNL. Richard was there, and we were talking about this. Pay attention to some of these little MFJ kits. They're fabulous. And when George comes in just a few minutes, he's going to clue us in on a little more of that, Cheryl. So I might want to discuss that with him.
And I have one last number 3 question, and I think I'd like you to answer that, Bob, if you'd be so kind. Is can one have too many antennas, is the question from the chat room.
No, It's the same thing, Cheryl. You can never have enough purses or shoes.
Okay, I understand.
Right? Yeah. Well,
sure.
We can never have enough antennas. That's not even a question.
or antenna towers, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't need a lot of towers, just a bunch of wires and stuff, and have fun. As long as they're tuned, that's the whole thing. They have to be resonant, and we'll get into that in a little bit with George too. But yeah, that's.
And one last comment I just wanted to make from the chat room. This came in, and they said it's okay to dream big, and that was it. That's it so far. I'm back over to you guys.
That's great. Oh, well, we get so many calls and emails, and I love hearing from all of you. I got one at the end of the day, darn it, from HQA. He's on the chat room a lot, and they were shutting the lights out of the plant. I didn't get to talk to him much, but maybe he'll call me back. But he's in there a lot, and he does a lot for Ham Nation and keeping everything going. I know K5LN's in tonight. Mike's in, WT6H. These guys will be on the air after a while. We'll try to give you some of their frequencies and make it all happen. But we really appreciate everything that's going on there. And Cheryl, you did a great job, and keep watching. Let's mosey on down and point the antenna to Mississippi. And I think I see a little smoke down there. What's happening in Mississippi, George?
Hi, Bob. Well, the weather has warmed up here, and I'm trying to get a beam heading on Gordo. I can't quite get the antennas matched up with his antlers just yet.
What's the front to back on that thing, George?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's
That's
pretty
good.
high. You know, if one antenna is good, two is even better. So that was the idea behind this contraption.
That's right. Stack.
And it's probably good on 900 megahertz. I don't know. I haven't swept it with the 259B analyzer yet.
But you will.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great. You have anything to say about Cheryl's comment about the MFJ stuff? It's pretty neat stuff, isn't it?
Well, it is, and, you know, you can get it for a good price. I know one time I think they even had a magazine on some of those MFJ QRP kits, and they still have a number of kits. I'm going to be building some here in the future. Not sure about a transceiver, but, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll talk with Richard there, and we'll get one of those one day here.
Yeah, super. Super. Well, what's going on with the old soldering iron tonight? What kind of project we got, George?
Well, we've got a real simple little project tonight. You know, sometimes I build stuff that I think people would be interested in, and sometimes I just build stuff because I need it, and this was the latter case. So tonight we're going to look at a little 12-volt power strip that you can build real economically, and it's something that I needed to test out some of these entry-level ICOM radios with. I needed just a few more 12-volt taps there off my power supply. So here's a neat and cheap way to do it. And, you know, it's low-tech, but I would encourage you to watch anyway, because there might be one or two little tips in there that you didn't know about before. Do you ever find yourself needing just one more connection to your 12-volt power supply? Well, then today's Smoke and Solder may have just the tip for you. There are a number of good 12-volt commercial power strips available. However, if you don't want to pay the price, or you just want to build one yourself, here's what I do. Take a trip to your nearby Lowe's or home building store. In the electrical department, you'll find this grounding bus bar that's normally inside of circuit breaker panels. You can buy a strip of this stuff for $6.19, and it's the perfect size to fit the 12-volt power leads to your HF radio. While I was at Lowe's, I looked around for a box to mount the strip in, and fortunately, I found these square plastic electrical boxes. They're only $1.78, and you can get the top for an additional $1.20. That's a lot cheaper than you can buy most project boxes. To mount the strip inside the box, I'm going to need a method to where I don't have any screws with the voltage on them going outside the box. So what I'm going to do is take this old plastic strip that used to be a CD drive bay cover and cut it down to where it fits the panel. And then I'll mount my power strip to the plastic strip and then mount that strip inside the box with a separate set of screws. First, I'll take a pencil and make a mark on the panel where it needs to be cut. Then I'll use a square to make a straight line, and we'll cut it with an X-Acto saw. Next, we'll drill 2 holes on our plastic panel so that we can mount it inside the box. Now we'll put the plastic panel inside the box and drill 2 matching holes in the box itself. I'm going to countersink a couple of flathead screws into the box, so I'll take a larger bit and just cut into the surface a little. Next, I'll mark the length of the bus bar that we want to cut off, and I'm going to take it outside and cut this with a Dremel tool, so we won't have any Dremel tool action on the show today. Well, maybe just a little bit. Now I've removed 2 screws from the bus bar where I want to drill all the way through for our mounting screws, and the best way to do this, since this is real heavy metal, is to go real slow with your bit and put a lot of pressure on it. That way the bit won't get heated up too much in the process, nor will the metal. Every now and then I'll stop and use some of this real cold contact cleaner, power wash, or anything similar. That'll help cool the metal down and the bit and help the cutting action considerably. Rather than use long screws and nuts to secure the bus bar, I'm going to pull out my tap and die set, and we'll cut threads into the holes. That way we can use shorter screws. When using a tap, it's very important that you use a lot of pressure and you go into the hole perfectly straight so that you'll end up with a good set of threads. Now that we've got the holes tapped, we can mount our bus to the plate and the plate inside our box. Everything seems to be good and secure. Now the flathead screws didn't countersink quite as well as I would like, so I'm going to pull out the old Weller soldering gun here and give them a little help. Now it looks good and flush. To get our wires inside the box, we'll come through the knockouts. Why do they call them knockouts? Now the labels on these boxes can be quite stubborn, and they just don't want to peel off all in one piece. Fortunately, we can pull out our heat gun and give the label a little heat to loosen the adhesive, and then it'll peel right off. After that, we'll use some adhesive remover to get off the remaining adhesive. Now we've got our 12-volt isolated bus bar, and we were careful that the screws on the inside do not touch the bus themselves, thereby putting the power outside the box. To complete this, we'll need a place to put our ground bar. We're not going to put it inside the same box with our 12 volts so that there's no chance of those two coming in contact with each other. We can just take the remaining piece of strip here and mount it to the outside of the box or anywhere on our cabinet. I'm using external fuses on my gear, but you could add fuse holders to the box if you'd like. And there you have it, the Ham Nation 12-volt power supply bus.
All right.
Wow. That was great.
Yeah, for less than $10, you know.
That is great.
Thanks, Gordo.
We need more
All right.
input and outputs for 12 volts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Always need one more.
One more.
That's right, George. Now, George, you have your brain buster for the evening. Are you ready for your brain buster? Have you got the prize?
Well, I tell you what, why don't we give away last week's prize, and then we'll do the brain buster.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, last week we said we were giving away an MFJ 1712S dual band telescopic antenna that you can use with a handy talkie. This particular antenna has a male SMA connector on it, so you'll need a handy talkie that has a female SMA on it. And I forgot to mention that in the show, so I hope whoever wins has the correct handy talkie for that. Anyway, we had a lot of entries this time around, more than we've had previously. And last week when I was trying to shuffle them in my hat, I kept knocking them out. So this week we're going high tech, and we're going to draw out of a CD-ROM box. And by the way, Oshan handy talkie, this antenna won't fit it because it's got the opposite sex of SMA connector on it. So we'll draw in, pull out one name here. And it looks like our winner this week is Kevin K7BMG.
All right.
Great, Kevin. Congratulations. And we'll be sending this out to you here in the next week. And Gordo, what do you say we give away a Morse code Breaking the Barrier book from MFJ? This was written by Dave Finley, N1IRZ, and it discusses the Koch method to get your Morse code speed higher, and I assume would be good for entry level as well.
All right. Well, tonight's Brain Buster, and by the way, those are some great prizes, George. So thanks a million for donating them or wherever they're coming from. And I love your antennas. Tonight's question is, since this is Geminids meteor shower tonight, what is the origin of the Geminids meteor shower? Where do they come from? So, George, if you'll tell them where to send their responses to, the origin of the Geminids, George.
Okay, well, send your answers to hamnationcontest @gmail.com. That's Hamnation Contest without an S at the end, not plural, just hamnationcontest@gmail.com. And next episode, which I believe is going to be around the 1st of January sometime. Anyway, the next Hamnation episode, we'll give away the book from MFJ, Morse Code Breaking the Barrier. And by the way, Gordo, all these prizes came from Martin and Richard at MFJ, and we appreciate their support.
Oh, MFJ is always going out of their way to make things happen when it comes to taking care of hams. And I'm losing my voice. I'm getting so choked up because January 3, thank you, Julian. He's mining the lights. January 3 is going to be our next Ham Nation show, in that we're taking a couple of weeks off because the studio is taking a couple of weeks off, and they deserve a good rest after working with the likes of us. January 3, we're going to have a video, the video from the American Radio Relay League, the do-it-yourself magic of amateur radio, and we're going to have the producers, Bill Pasternak and producer Dave Bell, as well. And Bill's got some great videos, plus this great DIY magic of amateur radio to be seen almost for the first time since its release here on Ham Nation. So you get a couple of weeks off, chat room and everyone else, and then all of us will be back here January 3. So, George, thank you again. Thanks to Martin for those great prizes. And back to you, George, with those great antennas. And I have to get mine going one more time. Go ahead, George.
Okay, Gordo, got a good copy on you here. You're 5'9" in Mississippi with the headgear.
All right, and we're going to be on 40 meters tonight, 71. I've got my notes here, 7179. 7179 on 40. And also Joe, WX4ADX, has us on reflector, D-Star reflector 14 module C for D-Star tonight.
And for Echolink, we're going to be on star, drop in star. And you do have to put the asterisk before and after drop in if you're connecting with a computer. And to connect through another Echolink node, it's node number 355800.
All right, guys, this is great. That was such good stuff. I need to take some lessons on that one because I have so many power supply thingies around here. I only have a couple of power supplies, but I have wires running all over. We talk each week about sending you pictures of your shack here. I visited a shack in Ohio the other day, and I thought you guys should see it because it's very special. Jerry, who is KC8ZUL, has been an AM broadcast transmitter collector for a long time. He has a whole warehouse full of them. He and Mike DeRoe and all these guys that do this, I just marvel at some of these things. They're absolutely pieces of art. And his ham station looks about like yours and about like mine. It's not beautiful and pristine, but it's where he builds and designs his things. And Jerry loves the 833. And for those of you that don't know about an 833, we're going to show you some pictures of them. But this is a tube. It's one of the most beautiful tubes. It's about that big, about as big as a milk jar. And when it is lit up and the plate is just a little orange,
It's huge.
it's beautiful. So Jerry gets the idea after watching all of these 833s and his many broadcast transmitters, he needs to build an audio amp. So next month at CES, he's going to introduce this incredible, first time ever, audio amp with a pair of 833s in it. Let's go peek around. There it is. Look at that, Gordo. Look at that, George.
I want
one.
He's driving those 833s. You can see one of them in the back. He's got a pair of 1287s driving a pair of 6550s, which drives the 833s. This entire amplifier has no capacitors or no resistors. He has designed special transformers for each stage, so that they're just absolutely, there's no distortion in this thing. It is amazing. And let's see some of the other slides then of his station. We've got a couple of more. There's a couple of his many broadcast transmitters. And you can see inside the windows, you can see those old tubes glowing away. That's where he got the idea. And he goes out and finds these things and resurrects them. He and good old Mike Duro, they share the same hobby. We do have another one that's one of the pretty ones. It's just gorgeous in the little window, so you can go in there and make sure that it's not getting too hot. You really had to watch it. George, isn't that correct? That you had to glass because you couldn't let the plates get too red. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I grew up watching one of those things through a window right in front of me, and it's nice to look in there and you see that comforting warm glow coming off the tubes. But if you got one in there that's getting cherry red, you better cross your fingers and call the engineer because you got problems.
And last but not least, let's look at one at his station. There it is. And guess what? He's got a solder station, a solder sucker, wire cutters, diagrams of some tubes. I love it. I mean, I didn't get to meet Jerry. He had just left because he'd been there for a couple of days, and he's one of these guys that he works for a couple of days and sleeps for a couple of days. But, oh, how cool. We got to have him on the show before long. Gordo, put that down. That's one of your first stops at CES to go see the APL, Audio Power Labs, and check out that great 833. I just had so much fun there. And Ryan Mindall is a wonderful friend of mine that I've known through the pipe organ part of my life. So I wanted to share that with some of you guys, how pretty some of these things can be. Cheryl, what's going on? Anything else that we should know before we start winding things down?
Who are we talking to? That would be me. Hi. Back again.
Happens to be a lot.
I wanted to just say I was a little jealous of Gordo's antlers, so I thought we would have to do some DX competition with our antlers here. So anyway, I thought I'd just join in the fun. We do have a couple more questions from the chat room. If you could just, someone said they were getting a TS-120 with a Kenwood, PS-30 power supply, and would it be more beneficial to get the matching power supply or perhaps something more modern? That's the question. Go ahead.
Wow, let's see. The TS-120 is a ham-only rig, no general coverage received. Any power supply will power that little puppy up. If you want a matching one, it'll be nice to look at, but I don't think that radio would tell the difference. Get a switcher, get an old Astron transformer type, 12 volts, about 20 amps. That little guy will be humming.
Yeah, that's a good piece. I had several of those, a 130, a 120, 130, 140. I love those things. And that was the first small radio. I remember when it came out, we had all the big, like these things behind me, big boxes, and all of a sudden Kenwood comes out with a 120. You probably remember that, Gordo.
Yeah, I do. That's a great one. All right, Cheryl, how about one last great question from the chat room? Cheryl with the antlers.
One last question from the chat room for Bob. What are some of the frequencies? They really wanted to get that out on the program here, so they could check in, or what you were talking about earlier. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, tonight we're going to be, a lot of it going to be on 71, 79. I don't know where Bill's going to be just yet, K5LN, but they'll be on 40 meters, 7204, 7208 if there's no big broadcast carriers on there. I think 20 meters is pretty much shut down. I know that there's going to be a lady from Northern Illinois, Gordo, on somewhere around 3850, and her and that Ray Grenier dude will be there, so we can tune into Ray Grenier. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
It's what right. I was on 10 meters the other day, and listen to what came into me. Listen to this. This is cool. See if I can get him up here.
Hello, CQ, calling CQ, CQ calling CQ. From K7KHW. Kilowatt 7, Kilowatt Hotel Whiskey near Seattle, Washington, calling CQ and listening.
Our old buddy Ray had a K7. How you?
Without a 9.
I had to work him. I just had to work that guy. But anyway, for all of you, I need to tell you, Ray Grenier is the guy that does the catalog for AES. He's been with them for 40-plus years, good friend of all of ours, and he's on 3850 every night with a great big signal. So that's what's going on. And Cheryl, we appreciate you being here. We look forward to having you on and helping us as we go through Ham Nation. We're going to be dark for the next few weeks, 2 weeks. We'll be back on January the 3rd because we're going to give the Petaluma group a little vacation, and they certainly deserve
Much deserved one.
Much deserved. So there will be some things happening live from CES. Gordo's going to be there. That'll be on the 10th. You want to check in with what Leo's doing from CES. But that'll be really fun. So, George, I want to thank you for all that you've done this year. You are just a great inspiration to all amateur radio operators to build some things and have fun with it. So we look forward to a lot of things next year from Mississippi. So I wanted to personally thank you publicly of how much we enjoy your presentations here on Ham Nation.
Well, thank you, Bob. I always have a lot of fun doing it. And I'd, just like to encourage some more guys and gals out there to start building some stuff yourself. It's not really that hard. And the more you do it, the easier it gets to be. And save those old parts. When you're going to throw something away, have a look in there and see what you might could use again. And we look forward to seeing everyone next year. And Cheryl, 20 over down here in Mississippi.
Thanks for the signal report there, George. I appreciate it.
Okay, I love your bells up there. That's cool. Gordo, what can I say? You, Julian, and Susie. My goodness, we couldn't do without Susie running all the controls behind there. Thanks for the year. It was really cool, and I'm looking forward to a big year next year here on Ham Nation. And
Roger on that, Bob. We're going to be on 7179 tonight. We understand the other frequencies got a conversation on it. So 7179. Julian and Hannah and I and Suze will probably be at CES. No, for sure we'll be there. And then we do Quartz Fest into the January. So we'll see you there on video. Back to you, Bob. 73 all. Thanks, chat room, for watching.
Well, I have a very special way to close the show, close the year. Let's see if we can get this video up. And it's my way of saying Merry Christmas to you from one of my other great loves, the Wurlitzer pipe organ.
Wonderful.
Right. Merry Christmas to all.
Right.
And we'll see you back here, same place on the dial, and catch you on the air in the next few weeks. Merry Christmas,
Happy
everybody.
Holidays.
Thanks so much for the bandwidth.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
So long, everybody.